Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. Welcome to Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and today we're highlighting a case that began in Kalamazoo, Michigan. In December of 2013, a 30-year-old psychiatry resident left work one evening after displaying unusual behavior and asking for help. She was captured on surveillance footage at a downtown hotel, then later seen taking a hotel shuttle back to her car. Hours later, her vehicle was found abandoned along Interstate 94 in Porter County, Indiana, more than 100 miles from Kalamazoo. No calls, no credit card activity, no sign of the doctor. 4 months would pass before her remains were discovered in a lake. The official ruling? Accidental drowning. But her family, and many who followed this case, believe there's more to the story. This is the story of Dr. Teleka Patrick. Dr. Teleka Patrick was 30 years old when she vanished on December 5, 2013. She was a first-year psychiatry resident at Borgess Medical Center in Kalamazoo, Michigan, a position she'd started just months earlier, in July. By every account, Teleka was brilliant. She had earned a medical degree and a doctorate in biochemistry from Loma Linda University in California. Colleagues described her as wonderful, beautiful, and talented. Born in Hyattsville, Maryland, and raised in Queens, New York, Teleka had worked her entire life to build a future in medicine. She stood about 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighed approximately 160 pounds. But behind all of that, there were signs that something might not be right. December 5th, 2013 started like any other day at the hospital. Teleka was on a shift as a psychiatry resident, but according to reports, something about her behavior that day stood out. She approached a fellow resident and asked to borrow $100. She also asked for a ride to the Radisson Plaza Hotel in downtown Kalamazoo. The resident noticed her voice was high-pitched and her eyes were blinking rapidly. She told him she was planning to meet a man at the hotel. Then, according to the resident, she asked a strange question. She asked if he believed in demons. Around 7:30 that evening, Teleka arrived at the Radisson Hotel. Surveillance footage shows her standing at the front desk, waiting. She never successfully rented a room, though. At 7:48 p.m., Teleka left the hotel and was driven back to the Borgess Medical Center parking lot by a hotel shuttle driver. The driver later described her as nervous and agitated. She asked him not to tell anyone about the ride. When they arrived, the shuttle driver said Teleka was ducking between cars, as if hiding from someone. But no one else was seen. That was the last confirmed time anyone saw Dr. Teleka Patrick alive. Later that night, motorists traveling along Interstate 94 in Porter County reported seeing a gold Lexus being driven erratically. Not long after, the vehicle was found abandoned in a ditch near the highway. The 1997 gold Lexus ES300 had a flat tire. The interior lights were on. Inside, police found Teleka's wallet, her ID, her credit cards, and a small amount of cash. The car keys were still missing, and so was Teleka. Tracking dogs were brought in, and they followed a scent from the car to the edge of the highway, and then the trail ended. The next day, December 6th, Teleka failed to show up for work. She was reported missing. Police began investigating right away, but there were no leads. No phone activity, no credit card transactions, no confirmed sightings. Investigators considered whether she may have been traveling to see friends or acquaintances in other cities. But none of the theories explained how she ended up in Porter County or where she went after abandoning her car. In January 2014, police, with assistance from the FBI, searched Lake Charles in Indiana, about 15 miles from where Teleka's car was found. The lake was frozen. They found nothing. Weeks passed, then months. Then on April 6, 2014, nearly 4 months after she disappeared, a fisherman made a grim discovery. A body was found in Lake Charles. 3 days later, authorities confirmed the remains were Dr. Teleka Patrick. She was found with her car keys, her pager, and the $100 she had borrowed from a coworker. The autopsy concluded that Teleka drowned. Her death was ruled an accident. There were no signs of trauma, no evidence of foul play. Toxicology tests found nothing out of the ordinary. At the family's request, a second autopsy was conducted. It confirmed the same conclusion. In the summer of 2014, authorities announced plans to close the case. But for Dr. Teleka Patrick's family, the questions were far from answered. Months before she disappeared, Teleka had become fixated on a man she believed she was in a relationship with. The man was gospel singer and pastor Marvin Sapp. Court filings show that in 2013, Sapp sought a personal protection order against Teleka. In that filing, he stated he had never responded to her communications and had collected hundreds of pages of messages sent by her. He also alleged that she had appeared at his home repeatedly and had contacted his children. Police investigated Marvin Sapp and cleared him of any involvement in Teleka's disappearance. Authorities said he was not a suspect and described the situation as an apparent case of stalking. As investigators examined Teleka's digital footprint, they described a disturbing pattern. In the months leading up to her disappearance, she created multiple social media accounts. She posted constantly, sometimes dozens of times a day. Many of the posts were directed at a perceived love interest. The content included religious and spiritual language, references to demons, and claims of telepathic or psychic connections. Just one day before she disappeared, her post suggested a deepening spiritual and emotional distress. In November 2013, Teleka created a YouTube channel. She posted a series of videos addressing an unnamed lover. In them, she spoke directly to the camera, cooking meals for two, describing her day, and imagining a shared life. Her family was unaware of any real-world relationship, and investigators found no evidence that a relationship existed in real life. Teleka's former husband, Ismael Calderon, spoke publicly after her disappearance. They were married in the mid to late 2000s and divorced several years later. He described a history of concerning behavior, including claims that Teleka heard voices and experienced paranoia. He said he urged her to seek help, but she feared that doing so would damage her medical career. He said the marriage eventually ended in part because she refused treatment. There were some other signals as well. In July of 2013, shortly after arriving in Kalamazoo, Teleka flagged down a public safety officer. She said someone was after her. The officer believed her behavior was concerning and contacted the medical school. A subsequent drug test came back clean. On the night she disappeared, multiple people noticed that Teleka seemed distressed. her coworker, the shuttle driver, both during the ride and in the parking lot. She borrowed cash, stopped using her credit cards, and left her phone behind. But why? Law enforcement says Teleka left on her own free will. They believe she became lost and eventually ended up in the lake. But many questions remain. Where was she headed? Why did she abandon her car? And what happened between the highway and the water? Teleka's mother has publicly rejected characterizations of her daughter as mentally unstable. The family says the focus should be on finding answers, not reducing Teleka to her struggles. Till this day, they believe her death deserves further review. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of Dr. Teleka Patrick. Her case remains officially closed, but her family continues to seek answers. Anyone with information about the events surrounding Teleka's disappearance or death should contact the Porter County Sheriff's Office or the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety. You can find their contact information in the description below. As we close out this episode, remember that sharing Dr. Teleka Patrick's story helps keep her case visible and could spark more answers for her loved ones. Follow Hunting for Answers for updates on this case and others like it. Subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more true crime stories and case updates. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. Until next time. Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network. For more podcasts from the Black Effect Podcast Network, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.